Now, I know some people wonder, why do you have a pit in the garage? Even some people don't even know, like, what's a pit, you know? I say I need to pull the car into this garage so that I can get in the pit. Well, what's the pit? This is the pit. It's literally just a hole in the floor of the garage, and it's poured right into the concrete foundation, and it allows you to get underneath cars. So the question is, why do you have a pit in your garage? Why don't you have a lift? When they first built the garage, they put in a pit. I'm not entirely sure why they did that, but that's the option they went with. This garage was built in the 80s, I think. So I don't know if lifts were available at the time and how expensive they were compared to just putting in a pit. But there are some advantages to a pit and some advantages to a lift, so I figure I'll talk about those. So one good thing about the pit is that the car is secure. I always get nervous using lifts because the car is up off the ground, and if you don't operate the lift right, or if something breaks, or you're just running low on hydraulic fluid. Also, with a lift, there's two different types of lift. There's a 4-post lift and a 2-post lift. 2-post lift lifts up the car from either the frame rails or the jack points on the unibody. And that allows you to take the tires off, which is really nice. A 4-post lift, you drive up on it and you can't actually take the tires off on it. But anyway, this pit essentially fills the same role as a 4-post lift. You can get onto the undercarriage pretty easily. It's pretty comfortable, especially when you're working on a taller vehicle. With this vehicle, my head is sort of tilted to the side because it's so short. But if we were working on like a pickup truck or something, then it would be perfect. You could walk around under here all day. So basically, they both function in that you can get underneath the vehicle. The pit is a bit safer because you don't have to worry about the car falling or anything. The pit, however, has the downside, several downsides. Number one, you have to get in and out. And you saw the ladder that we have to get in and out. And so sometimes it's kind of hard to get in and out of the pit. Whereas if we were under a lift, we could just walk out from under it. Another drawback is that the pit is hard to clean. You spill some oil down here, there's nowhere for it to go. You have to put some absorbent material down, and then you have to sweep up and shovel out the absorbent material. But this pit collects a lot of stuff, and cleaning it out is quite a chore. If you had a lift, you could just sweep right between the posts of the lifts and sweep everything out the door, or sweep it into one pile. With this lift, or with the pit, you have to sweep the pit and then shovel all the stuff out, and it's just a pain. But a pit is good for large vehicles. Let's say there's something like my truck, for instance. You can't put my truck on a regular 4-post lift. Even if the lift is rated for the height, even if the lift is rated for the weight of the truck is too tall, so if there's any kind of top bar across the posts of the lift, it's going to hit those, or it's going to hit the roof. Also, the truck is so long that you can't really get the posts, get the lift points in a spot where you can lift up the entire truck at once. The best you can do with a lift is lift like the rear axles at once, or lift the front end. You can't do both. with one lift. Whereas in the pit, I backed the truck in here and I was able to get down underneath the truck and I could work on it. So the pit is better for large vehicles such as dump trucks, and that's why you see a lot of mechanic shops that use a lot of heavy equipment mechanic shops that might still have a pit. Now, the another downside to the pit is that it's kind of in the way when you're not using it. We have these boards that cover it up, but even then, you can't roll anything over them. So, for the instance, the engine crane. I was moving the engine crane around and the jacks and my toolbox, and you have to move everything around the pit, either around the back, or if it can't fit around the back, you have to move it around the front. And so that is kind of annoying that you have to work around the pit when you're not using it. Another bad thing about the pit is you have to be very careful when you back vehicles out or pull vehicles in, because you don't want to get one of the tires down in the pit. But with a lift, you also have to be careful as well. So